Welcome to this week's Hymn of the Week. This week we have EOW 310, Songs of Thankfulness and Praise for the baptism of our Lord Sunday. We're looking forward to the new year, not actually the church liturgical year, but the new calendar year starting. And the composer of the text, Christopher Wordsworth, actually quoted why he wrote this. So let me read that to you. It's in his holy year, that's the edition that it's in, and it's composed for the 6th Sunday after Epiphany in the Old Lectionary. Listen to this very carefully. Christopher Wordsworth called it a recapitulation of the successive manifestations of Christ, which have been already presented in the services of the former weeks throughout the season of Epiphany. So a recapitulation in music is when you have a theme at the start that comes back at the end, but basically in a recapitulation, it stays in those keys. And usually there's, let's just say there's 3 themes usually in that section. And they will all stay in the tonic key or one key. In the exposition, they usually change to the dominant key and then go back to the tonic key, and sometimes other keys as well in the middle. If you look at some of the Beethoven sonatas and the symphonies, you know there's always something there. But the idea is that recapitulation. So it's interesting because if we look at each verse, we have verse 1, obviously referring to Jesus' birth. Verse 2, manifested Jordan stream, that's Jesus' baptism, which is what we're celebrating this coming Sunday. The wedding at Cana, another reading that's key in the Epiphany season. Here you see changing water into wine. The third, it's dealing with evil, really. Manifest and valiant fight, quelling all the devil's might. And then the fourth is a prayer. And here's what's interesting, quoted in the 1982 hymnal of the Episcopal Church. It's the anticipation of that future great and glorious Epiphany. So if you think about that, it's interesting because it's all kind of summarized. So why would we sing this so early in Epiphany, like right at the beginning? Well, there's another way of looking at it, friends. Another way of looking at it is saying, let's look at all these events, remind ourselves going into Epiphany what these events are, and then we're going to be renewed and inspired as we read and hopefully experience and learn about those events again. So that's another approach to doing that. Jakob Hinze, the music, we don't know much about him. He lived close to Berlin. But we do certainly know that if we look at this hymn, because Krüger was before it and Hinze kind of did something as well after that, we see the effects of the Reformation, which we just celebrated 500 years, right? So the church is singing generally a cappella music without accompaniment, but they're singing, so that's a wonderful thing. But now we're bringing the organ in, and the organ is now becoming a way to enhance the music and a way to lead the congregational song. This is a great example. If you're going to take this to the college, the music schools, even ourselves, what happened or what a good example of it would have been like to shift from congregational singing with no accompaniment to hymns with the organ. So I want you to listen to this as I play it. That's a pedal. The clarity of it, the beauty of the parts, the simplicity, but still musical. And this is in bar form, A, A, B. Here's the B section. Fits under the fingers very nicely for the organ. Notice how I don't have to adjust much at all. Common finish with the same text. Beautiful tune. I mean, absolutely lovely tune. And we need to remember this too. The harmonization we have is by Johann Sebastian Bach. And this harmonization is definitely Bach taking some of these tunes, or certainly around before him, and making them also singable. Like we talked about in a previous hymn of the week, isorhythmic versus rhythmic. This isorhythmic approach adds such beauty and makes it easier to sing. So I like to play this as a full, big prayer for the church. So that's what we're going to do. Songs of Thankfulness and Praise. Always like a tune like Salzburg, and if you look, it was named in the 19th century by the editors of Hymns Ancient and Modern, where it was the setting for the Lamb's High Feast. So I wanted to share that information with you so you wonder why it was named Salzburg. And also, I want to give credit to the ideas I was using, the introduction by Hal Hobson, and then, of course, the last verse, Noel Rossthorn. So thank you for listening to Hymn of the Week.